88.
Watch Wheel of Fortune at 6:30 and play Wheel Deal. This week, when you play Wheel Deal, you could win $100 in tax services from Quick Tax. Quick Tax has offices in Indianola, Grinnell, and Des Moines to serve you best during the upcoming tax season. Quick Tax. To win, watch Wheel of Fortune weeknights at 6:30. When you see the Wheel Deal on your screen, be the 13th caller with the right answer. Play Wheel Deal and win.
Pretty chilly night tonight. Low forecast down to about 10 degrees, but calm winds, so wind chill will not be too bad. Still a good idea to put a scarf on or something.
No kidding. That's what it's all about, though, is wind chill.
Yeah, time now for a preview of the news at 6. John's standing by. Hi, John.
Hi, Jim. We're going to have much more on that custody battle involving a Michigan couple and a former Iowa girl. I just got off the phone with the Michigan couple, the DeBoers, and they talk about their feelings. Now they will retain custody of the child for now. We'll have that interview. Also, Tom Miller says he wants his old job back as Attorney General. He's even changed his mind on a very key issue. We'll have reaction to that change of mind. These stories, plus the latest on the Bears' search for a new football coach, all coming up at 6.
Great. Thanks, John.
And finally tonight, Miss Teen USA, Jamie Solinger of Altoona, got a taste of Hollywood.
The 17-year-old Iowan made her soap opera debut on NBC's Santa Barbara.
Well, what are you doing in Santa Barbara? The last thing I heard, you were just crowned Miss Teen USA.
Miss Teen USA.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Brave Castillo, this is Jamie Solinger.
Jamie.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Well, to answer your question, BJ, the main reason I entered the pageant was to win a college scholarship, and I did. I'm going to SBU. Well, congratulations. What's your major? Journalism.
No, Jamie, look out for that guy. Those hand kissers. Yeah, they'll take some knuckles with them, too. This is Solinger's first serious attempt.
Good advice, Lori.
It's her first serious attempt at acting.
And she did a fine job at it,
She
too.
certainly did,
Okay.
yes.
That's it for this edition of Live at 5. Time now for Nightly News.
Good night.
Secondhand smoke. The government says the evidence is in. It's a killer. Congress opens and the long, bitter battle over health care is underway. And the Clintons, champions of public education, enroll Chelsea in a private school.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw, reporting tonight from NBC News headquarters in New York.
Good evening. Smokers, be warned. You're being charged with killing others. The Environmental Protection Agency is about to release a report saying that secondhand cigarette smoke kills 3,000 a year in America because of lung cancer. At the same time, a British anti-smoking organization said today, passive smoke kills 140,000 annually in Europe. NBC's Robert Hager tonight has more on the EPA findings. Bob?
Tom, the reports about the smoke that floats off the end of cigarettes and is breathed by others, by non-smokers. And it finds that this so-called second-hand smoke is a first-class cause of cancer. For 3 years, the Environmental Protection Agency has been trying to get the findings out, but was delayed by lobbying from the tobacco industry and pro-tobacco members of Congress. Now, EPA Administrator William Riley has signed off on the findings that among adults, secondhand smoke causes lung cancer, more than 3,000 deaths a year, and among children causes bronchitis and pneumonia, 210,000 cases a year, causes increased severity of childhood asthma, and among infants may increase the risk of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. The report does not even address heart disease, which many doctors believe is the most dangerous consequence of smoke. But it's the lung cancer finding that causes EPA to call it a Class A cancer causer, putting it in the same category as asbestos, benzene, radon, and other potent cancer causers. The tobacco industry took issue. Spokeswoman Brennan Dawson.
It will violate the agency's own guidelines for this kind of review, and basically is a very cavalier treatment of a very controversial issue.
But in anticipation of the report, Washington's National Airport already banned all smoking just this week. And Thursday, the Baltimore Orioles are expected to become the first Major League Baseball team to ban smoking at their ballpark. The American Lung Association's Fran Dumelli expects more.
We'll see that eventually we'll have a federal standard that bans smoking in the work site. We'll soon see that almost anywhere that people generally go for pleasure or business will be smoke-free.
And that was the point of this whole exercise, to give the government and private employers one more scientific reason to further restrict smoking and protect those who choose not to smoke. Tom?
Thank you, Robert. Smoking, of course, is just one of the reasons that American health care costs are out of control. now more than $830 billion a year. That's 14% of the total economic output of this nation. It is expected to be the toughest issue for the new Congress, which was sworn in today. And NBC's Lisa Myers is our chief congressional correspondent. Lisa?
Tom, the mood of this Congress is hopeful but wary. Hopeful because of Bill Clinton, wary because of the daunting challenges which lie ahead.
The Senate,
the House will be in order.
Will come to order. The Senate is not in order.
Some things never change, but beyond today's traditional chaos and swearing in was a sobering reality.
We are under the close scrutiny of the American people.
This Congress knows it has to deal with the economy, the deficit, and health care, issues it has dodged for years. Today, a top Democratic leader warned Clinton not to waffle on his promise to cut the deficit in half.
We have to stick with that goal, even if it's a larger hole that we're in than we thought we were in.
That means passing not only tax increases and cuts in entitlement programs, possibly even Social Security, but also health care legislation.
If we think that we can fiddle around with the entitlements and all this other stuff and get control of this budget, if you don't do something on health care, it is a joke. It's going to bankrupt the country.
But there are deep divisions among Democrats. First, on whether the private insurance system merely should be revised or junked entirely in favor of a government-run program. And second, on whether price controls are needed to reduce soaring health costs. And there is this.
I mean, how do you pay for it? We've all got health care plans. There must be 27, I think, at the last count last year in the Senate. But how do you pay for those?
The fight will be ferocious. Some Democrats already are worried that Clinton is too eager to cooperate, even when he needs to be tough.
The new president, if he's going to succeed, he has to be prepared to take on the power structure. He has to be ready to have some of the Washington insiders mad at him. He's going to have to take on the special interests both inside Congress and outside Congress.
Even if Clinton goes to the mat, the smart money here gives health care legislation at best a 50-50 chance of passage this year. Tom?
Thank you, Lisa. Part of the problem, of course, is that for too many people, the high cost of health care is somehow just not real. They just hand in the bill to an insurance company. But it is costing everyone too much. Last year, health care costs were up 11.5%. This year, an estimated 12% increase, which means 1 out of every $7 spent is for health care. And that makes everything more expensive. Health care for auto workers adds $1,100 to the price of a new American car. Someone who has been following this debate very closely is Professor Ted Marmor, a professor of politics at the School of Management at Yale University. Professor Marmor, what do you expect it will have in terms of health care reform at the end of the next year?
Well, Tom, I think it's going to be a long, torturous year, but at the end of it, I think I see some glimmers, or some outline, really, of a proposal to change American medical care pretty substantially. One, I think we'll have a plan which will have every American covered for ordinary medical care. It may not very, very neat and clean, but I think everybody will be covered. Secondly, I think that the coverage will be accompanied by some sort of national expenditure limit. Some people call it global budgets, some people call it expenditure targets, but I think with spending more than $830 billion a year, we've really got to a point where we have to put a border around it, and I think the border will be something like a global budget.
What do you think is the greatest fear of people who want health care reform but are worried that they'll end up with something worse than what they already have?
I think the worst fear is that we will have the promise of improvement, but the reality of a decline in either the scope of coverage, the quality of care, or the prices. People fear paying more and getting less.
Dr. Marmor, how did this system get to be so broken in the first place? Everyone has been watching this wreck occurring, and no one has done anything about it.
It's only in 1992-93 that we finally have a clear waking up to the realities of how bad the medical care system is from the standpoint of expenditure. But the other side of how bad it is from the standpoint of cost is that it has bought a lot of innovation. It has paid a lot of people a lot of money to keep busy at medical care. And so there's two sides of the medical coin. What costs a lot rewards a lot. And that's part of the reason, Tom, that there's going to be such a bloody fight about cost control.
Thank you, Dr. Ted Marmor of Yale University. When Nightly News continues in a moment, a major oil spill off the coast of Scotland tonight. And memories of an oil spill past in America close up. Almost 4 years after the Exxon Valdez accident, The mess now involves lots of money.
Look what's popping up, fat-free. Special K waffles from Eggo. Once you see how good fat-free can be, oh no, you never let go.
No way. It's all mine.
Special K waffles from Eggo.
Eggo Special K waffles. Crisp, delicious, yet every bite fat-free, cholesterol-free, and just 80 calories per waffle. See how good fat-free can be.
Oh no, you never let go.
Nah.
Special K waffles from Eggo.
I shampoo for dandruff, but my scalp still itches.
Now there's Scalpicin for deep scalp itch, not ordinary dandruff. It's clear liquid, not shampoo. With itch medicine, doctors chose over these dandruff shampoo formulas.
The itch is gone.
Scalpicin.
It's a kick. You got your vitamin A, your vitamin C. I like it because it has those beta-carotenes in it.
What's that word? Beta-carotenes. It's zippy kind of thing, a zippy thing.
This day in Washington State was just a few moments old when Wesley Allen Dodd was hanged, the 188th person to be legally executed in America since 1976. This case has attracted national attention, not so much for why he died, but how. More from NBC's Diana Karicki.
The execution of Wesley Allen Dodd has been completed. A physician pronounced death at 12:09 a.m.
So the Department of Corrections announced the death of Wesley Allen Dodd, a three-time child killer and rapist.
There's only one time.
In an interview years ago, Dodd said he knew he must die.
I have to die, because I know what I'm capable of. Everything I've ever done is evil. I want to keep doing it.
Dodd chose to die at the gallows because he had hanged one of his young victims. A dozen journalists were allowed to witness the execution.
It was very quick. It was very sudden. And with the hood over his head, the glass partition between us, it almost seemed too sterile. We didn't see any of the horrific tales that the opponents of the death penalty have been regaling us with for the last, I don't know, weeks now.
3, 2, 1. Outside Washington State Penitentiary last night, the boisterous crowd that wanted Dodd dead was 3 times the size of the somber group that mourned his execution.
Hey, the guy wants to die. We want him to die. He doesn't deserve to live.
Attorneys for the ACLU will continue to fight hanging as a method of execution. Although Dodd died quickly and apparently without pain, the ACLU still believes that hanging is a cruel and unusual punishment. Diana Karicki, NBC News, at the Washington State Penitentiary in Walla Walla, Washington.
Off the coast of Scotland tonight, there's a potential ecological disaster. A U.S.-owned supertanker smashed onto the rocks during a raging storm and it's gushing oil. The scene, the North Sea and the Shetland Islands, an area rich in wildlife. NBC's Keith Miller is there tonight.
All attempts to keep the oil tanker from smashing onto the coast failed as mountainous seas and gale-force winds drove back tugs sent to the rescue. In conditions described as horrendous, rescue helicopters did succeed in winching the 34-man crew to safety.
At some stages, the boat was moving up and down 20 to 30 feet, and at some stages, perhaps 50 to 70 feet.
The Liberian-registered tanker Breyer was en route from Norway to Canada when disaster struck. Seawater somehow contaminated the ship's fuel supply. At 5:30 this morning, the ship lost power. Oil is already leaking from a forward tank. There seems to be no way to keep the ship from breaking apart and spilling its cargo of 85,000 tons of oil, twice the amount released in the Exxon Valdez disaster in Alaska. The Shetland Islands has one of the most environmentally sensitive coastlines in the world.
Otters, when they get something nasty in the fur, they'll lick it up, they'll try and clean themselves, so they get oil into the stomach, and that will kill them.
Teams of cleanup crews are already on the move. Oil disbursement chemicals are being flown to Shetland, but containment booms are useless in such difficult conditions. And the weather is not expected to get any better. This is a worst-case scenario for environmentalists, and the extent of the damage could be determined by something as simple as the direction of the wind. Keith Miller, NBC News, the Shetland Islands, Scotland.
The potential for disaster here involves the amount of oil, but it's a much lighter oil, which should break up easier in those rolling seas. The Exxon Valdez gushed heavy crude oil in a calm bay. Controversy over that spill continues. We'll have more when Nightly News continues.
When your sinus and nasal congestion feels this bad, what can you do? Last year, you wanted to call the doctor. Last year, you wanted a prescription. But this year, Tavist-D in its full prescription strength is available without a prescription. Just one tablet helps relieve 12 hours worth of painful congestion and sneezing.
Guess what? I'll be there after all.
Tavist-D. One tablet, 12 hours, and now no prescription.
Sweet, succulent, Sunsweet, pleasantly pitted prunes. Sweet, Sunsweet, succulent. Sweet, succulent, Sunsweet, pleasantly pitted prunes. They are so much easier to eat. Can we try it again?
Keep going. Hey, got a sweet spot. Hit it with a sweet shot. Wheaties, honey, gold.
That's the stuff.
Crispy corn, whole grain wheat. It's just fine, crunchy and sweet. Go for it. Wheaties, honey, gold.
When you think about plastic, you may think about things like toy cars on your living room carpeting. Think again about a real car with dent-resistant plastic fenders. When you look at plastic bottles, you probably think they can't be recycled. Take another look. Millions are being recycled every day into things like plastic toy cars and your living room carpeting. To learn more, call this number for a free booklet and take another look at plastic.
America close up tonight. That tanker accident off Great Britain today brings to mind this country's worst oil spill, the Exxon Valdez disaster. Most of that oil is cleaned up now, and Exxon has agreed to pay a $1 billion fine to Alaska. But it turns out that's far from the end of the story. NBC's George Lewis has more tonight from Prince William Sound.
It has been almost 4 years since the Exxon Valdez spilled 11 million gallons of crude oil into Alaska's Prince William Sound. When the oil company agreed to a $1 billion settlement, a broad coalition of native Alaskans, environmentalists, and animal rights groups urged that the money be used to preserve Alaska's wilderness areas. But the deal hasn't exactly lived up to expectations.
The settlement is called $1 billion. It isn't $1 billion. The real value of it was probably less than half of that.
Exxon gets to spread its payments out over 10 years and gets to recoup some of the money it spent on cleanup efforts. And now there's a huge battle going on over what to do with the money paid out so far.
We want President Clinton to step in and stop Prince William Sound from becoming a Disneyland. They have proposals to build a $100 million science center, a SeaWorld in Seward. Essentially, every town in Prince William Sound is vying for the money as a pork barrel project.
Alaska's governor kind of likes that Disneyland idea.
I know Prince William Sound. I love it. I think it's the world's greatest water scenic area. And it should be that kind of a water park.
So far, most of the Exxon money has paid for a whole lot of studies of the Sound's plant and animal life, what some cynics call a relief program for bureaucrats.
I haven't seen any monies go out to the damaged areas, and while we have tens and thousands of words on paper and lots of ideas and plans, even some of the plans are quite far removed from the spill damaged areas.
There's a sense of frustration here, shared by environmentalists and local natives, that the Exxon money is being frittered away in endless bureaucratic studies and not being used for the preservation of this area. Afognak Island, one of Alaska's more pristine spots, suffered little damage from the Exxon Valdez oil spill. But the disaster played havoc with the lives of the Alaska natives who own much of this island.
It was pretty sad what happened here, with some people making money, some people not making money, and the whole area, it was just completely disrupted as a result of the oil spill.
Many natives who earn their livelihood from fishing went broke. Now, to make ends meet, the natives are logging the island's forests, leaving barren earth behind. They'd rather see some of the Exxon money used to buy up the land. The Natives claim the sale would keep them afloat while the property could be set aside as wildlife refuges and public parks, preserving the island in its natural state. Environmentalists had hoped the Exxon money would be used for purposes like that. Craig Petrick of the Audubon Society.
It's important for the wildlife, but it's also important as a symbol. These people in these communities were shook up and hurt so much by this spill. It's something that it's just meaningful to them to have an area set aside to say that we've done something as a result of the spill.
Petrick warns the time to do that is rapidly running out. George Lewis, NBC News, Afognak Island, Alaska.
When Nightly News continues in a moment, Chelsea's choice for a school in Washington.
How many times I told my dad to see a doctor. He was stubborn. But the pain in his stomach just wouldn't go away. He had to go. You should have seen the relief on his face when the doctor said Mylanta. He said it was indigestion, and his kind of indigestion needed strong medicine.
Mylanta is strong medicine, strongly recommended. In fact, Mylanta is the antacid doctors recommend most.
My doctor said Mylanta.
Also available in tablets and new gel caps.
Day 2. Details, details, details. They think of everything. After a day of sightseeing, Royal Caribbean had iced tea and juices waiting for us at the dock. Back on the ship, an artist was carving an ice sculpture for the midnight buffet. That kind of attention to detail seems not the exception but the rule. We could all learn something from the way they do business at Royal Caribbean.
You've got some Royal Caribbean coming. An hour into the job, the cough and burning fever kicked in. Kevin Ross has the flu, and that calls for serious medicine. TheraFlu. Strong, hot liquid relief to ease flu symptoms fast. TheraFlu. Your flu misery stops here.
To get rid of her gray, my wife can spend 40 minutes. But I discovered the 5-minute hair coloring.
The revolutionary discovery called Just for Men from the leader in men's hair coloring. Simply apply Just for Men and in 5 minutes shampoo out.
Gray is blended away. The look of my natural color is back in 5 minutes. That was me, and it won't fade or wash out.
My hair takes forever, but you look great in just 5 minutes.
The look of your natural color in just 5 minutes with Just for Men.
Guess which of these fruits, ounce for ounce, has the most vitamins and minerals? Yep, the California prune.
Sweet, delicious California prunes. Find out how good they really are.
Scientists today displayed the fossil of the world's most primitive dinosaur. It's called the Oraptor. It was found in Argentina, and it is small. The 40-inch long meat eater walked the earth 225 million years ago. In other news today, elected to baseball's Hall of Fame on his first try, Reggie Jackson. 21 seasons in the majors, 563 home runs, 5 championship rings. Not a great day for a football Hall of Famer. Celebrated Chicago Bears coach Mike Ditka fired after 11 years, following the team's worst season since 1975. And another emotional moment, President Bush at the U.S. Military Academy. In a final speech as Commander-in-Chief, he said the U.S. must lead, but not become, the world's policeman. Bill and Hillary Clinton are coming to Washington with a daughter whose schooling, of course, is a high priority. Today it was announced 12-year-old Chelsea will attend the private Sidwell Friends School, a private decision with a public impact. NBC's Andrea Mitchell tonight.
She's bright, danced 3 parts in the Nutcracker this year, and faxed her algebra homework to her dad during the campaign. But when you're the daughter of the president-elect, it's hard to live the life of a normal 12-year-old. Chelsea Clinton has gone to public schools in Little Rock, but in Washington she'll attend one of the city's most exclusive private schools. Tuition $10,400 a year. Is that going to create political problems for a family that has championed public education?
You can't put politics into a personal family decision, and that's what they were determined not to do. They were determined to make the right choice for the family.
Chelsea's new schoolmates are excited.
I think it's good. Some people say that it's not a good political move for her to come, but I don't know. I think it's good. I think it'll be cool, and maybe he'll come to talk to us.
Opinion was mixed at the public junior high nearest to the White House.
Well, that might be best because you know how some public schools are rough and she might get hurt or something.
I think he would send a strong message to the rest of the country by sending his child to public education, public school. Put your money where your mouth is.
Clinton did not want to talk about the decision today. Amy Carter, the last school-age child to live at the White House, attended public schools in Washington and had a hard time adjusting. The Clintons want to avoid similar problems.
Hillary and I have talked about it a lot, and we're going to do the very best we can to give her a childhood that is as normal as possible.
Most people acknowledge the Clintons have a right to do what's best for their daughter, although sending her to an elite school may strike some people as politically incorrect. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Washington.
And throughout this country, there is bottled water everywhere these days. Well, today the government moved to regulate this booming and lucrative industry. The Food and Drug Administration proposed guidelines for labeling bottled water, emphasizing truth and clarity, so you know where the water comes from and what it contains. On Wall Street today, stocks closed slightly lower. Trading today was very heavy, however.
If you've got an awful cold, you are about to experience the shape of things to come. Introducing Maximum Strength Dristan Cold Gel Caplets. A new Maximum Strength Dristan formula in a modern gel caplet with an easy-to-swallow coating. New Maximum Strength Dristan Cold Gel Caplets will relieve your sneezing, nasal congestion, body aches, and pain. New from the makers of Dristan, the face of relief today.
Good news for people taking Cardizem.
I need a refill on my Cardizem.
You may want to see your doctor before your next refill, because there's another Cardizem available, Cardizem CD.
What's the difference?
Cardizem CD should save you money.
Can you give me Cardizem CD?
Only your doctor can change your prescription. Ask your doctor if Cardizem CD is right for you.
Cardizem CD. Thanks. I'll ask my doctor.
There's only one refrigerator guaranteed to keep running and running for your money back. The Maytag refrigerator. The only refrigerator with a 10-year money-back guarantee. The only refrigerator built like a Maytag. Catch it at a Maytag dealer near you. Maytag, the dependability people.
Did you tell Papa?
Tell Papa what?
Does Kellogg's Muesli cereal taste like Grandma's?
A family secret?
Europeans are puzzled. Does the great taste of Kellogg's Mueslix come from their secret recipe?
Fruits, nuts, whole grains. It's perfect.
Impossible.
Tastes like ours, really.
Good morning, children.
Mama?
Why, this is the best we've ever made. But
Kellogg's Mueslix, the European secret for great taste.
We began this program tonight with a report on the coming changes in healthcare in America, a system that is already putting a great deal of strain on many doctors. Well, tonight, NBC's Mike Leonard has a prescription for physician relief.
If you're sick of your job, you might want to consult with 41-year-old Deborah Janicki. She's a truck driver, and she knows how work-related stress can cause
the compromise of the vascular system,
which could lead to
a cerebrovascular accident or even renal insufficiency.
Now I know what you're thinking. That truck driver lingo sure has changed through the years. And you're right, it has, ever since Deborah Janicki hit the road. That's Dr. Deborah Janicki.
I was physician, general practitioner.
A single woman with a small-town family practice, a world-class medical school education, and a terrible case of burnout. Dr. Janicki loved caring for people, but hated the endless hours of paperwork.
And every night, when I'd finally get home from work before I got called in again, I'd look out my window and I'd see all those trucks going by, and they were all going somewhere, and I wasn't.
So, after 12 years of practice, she closed her office, put all her belongings in storage, and went to truck driving school, eventually landing a job with CRST out of Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Talk about shifting gears. A few months ago, this woman was prescribing medicine.
Right now, I'm hauling Frisky's cat food.
Where to?
To Stockton, California.
Most people would call that a come down. From a doctor to a trucker.
Truck driver is every bit as important in this country as a doctor is, to my way of thinking.
Out here, she has no phone, no beeper. Just Billy Ray Cyrus on the tape deck, truck stop meals with her driving partner, and peace of mind for the brilliant mind that breezed through years of biochemistry and molecular genetics.
Most of my friends think I'm going through a midlife crisis.
And?
Maybe I am.
But then, isn't an achy breaky heart preferable to a
myocardial infarction?
Mike Leonard, NBC News, Cedar Rapids, Iowa.
That's Nightly News for this Tuesday night. I'm Tom Brokaw. I'll see you tomorrow night.
Just ahead from your 24-hour news source, a first-round victory for this Michigan couple trying to get custody of an Iowa toddler. You'll hear from one of the parents.
Temps will be tumbling by the weekend, and just ahead of that, a chance for snow and freezing rain. I'll have your complete forecast coming up.
The end of the line in Chicago for Mike Ditka. The Bears give the coach the heave-ho.
And the former state attorney general may run again, but with a different position on abortion. All of that and more coming up next.
Dish the dust. This is Live at 5.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to watch that? Yeah, I know. Jim Strickland and Lori Groves give you the first look at the day's top news stories from across the state to around the world. Ed Wilson's live first forecast tells you what Mother Nature has in store for Central Iowa. Live at 5 has it all. So turn them on, or I'll just have to turn them on for you.
Welcome to Live at 5. We'll have more on the storm coming up.
Why is News Center 13 Iowa's #1 news source?
It is refreshing to know that at least one of our news stations will tell it like it is.
It is indeed a pleasure viewing WHO news programs. They display constant and professional reporting, a personal and caring touch, and excellent interviews.
I enjoy your news program. You really do the best job of covering the news.
About a year ago, I switched from Channel 8 to Channel 13, and I'm glad I did.
Thanks for making us Iowa's #1 news source.
At Olive Garden, it's really neat. They take care of us special.
The moment you walk in the front door, there's somebody there to greet you, which is what I really like. I like their food.
It's a really good value.
The pasta is fresh, tender, yet firm.
Yeah, I used to like chicken parmesan the best, and right now I'm into the manicotti.
It's like an Italian street festival in a lovely garden setting.
The Olive Garden. Come visit us again soon.
Live from WHO TV 13, where the news comes first 24 hours a day. John Bachman, Kim Kerrigan, Rick Silvestrini with sports, and meteorologist Gary Amble with the weather. This is News Center 13 at 6.
This 22-month-old baby born in Iowa in the center of an interstate custody battle. Today, a Michigan judge said that state will decide the little girl's fate. Good evening. It is a hotly contested adoption case that crosses 2 states.
22-month-old Jessica DeBoer, born in Iowa, but her fate now rests in the hands of a Michigan judge. This afternoon, that judge ordered the trial be held in Michigan to determine whether Jessica will remain in the custody of her would-be adoptive parents. Almost since birth, Jan and Robbie DeBoer of Ann Arbor, Michigan, have raised the child, but her biological parents, Daniel and Kara Schmidt of Blairstown, Iowa, aren't giving up the fight for her. News Center 13's Kathy Soltero has details.
All right, please.
It is here in this Ann Arbor, Michigan courtroom that the fate of little Jessica DeBoer will be decided. For all but a few days, the 22-month-old girl has been raised by this couple, Jan and Roberta DeBoer of Ann Arbor, Michigan. Her biological parents, Daniel and Kara Schmidt of Iowa, say they only gave up the child under duress within hours of her birth. Both couples' attorneys fighting for what they say is a child's best interests.
Your Honor, never has there been a better example of the old adage, justice delayed is justice denied. If the DeBoer's own experts are to be believed, every day the transfer is delayed increases potential harm to the child.
Jessica is not a piece of property which can be owned by someone. She's not a prize to be won in a custody game. She is a human being with wants, needs, and desires.
The DeBoers say the ruling was a victory for them. Mrs. DeBoer says, "I'm thankful for someone deciding that our child has a life and a right." But the Schmidts aren't giving up their fight. The child's biological mother says, "I believe it's in the best interest of her to come home. I will never give up my rights. She's mine." Today's ruling means the little girl will not be returned to her biological parents here in Iowa. Instead, she'll remain in the custody of her would-be adoptive parents in Michigan. In Des Moines, Kathy Saltero, News Center 13.
Though the DeBoers in Michigan are calling this a victory, they know that the fight is far from over.
I talked with them on the phone this evening, and Mrs. DeBoer says she's grateful to the Michigan court system.
Happy that Judge Eggo decided to take jurisdiction. I think he's an excellent judge. I think he looked this whole thing over very carefully and made the decision on the best interest of our daughter.
What is it like now? I mean, this is a victory for you, but you're still kind of in limbo, aren't you?
We'll probably be in limbo for quite some time, but what we really are is Jessica's parents, and that's all that's really important, is that Jessie has her parents next to her every day and get to take care of her and love her and, you know, be with her.
Meantime, here in Iowa, a trial is set for February 5th to determine if Kara Schmidt's rights to the child were properly terminated 21 months ago. The court battles are not yet over. A first-degree murder trial about to get into high gear.
Opening statements expected tomorrow in the first-degree murder trial of Charles Lesage. He's the man charged in the 1991 strangulation death of Rosalind Barnes. The young girl's body was found in a roadside ditch several hours after she was reported missing. It took the court nearly 2 days to select the 8-man and 4-woman jury. The trial is expected to last at least 2 weeks, with the prosecution calling as many as 45 witnesses. The defense won't comment whether Lesage is expected to testify on his own behalf. You entrust your infant to a teenage babysitter, and you return to face tragedy while the sitter faces murder charges. That's a nightmare turned to reality in Orange City, Iowa. Tonight, the sitter is undergoing psychiatric evaluation. The victim in the case, 5-month-old Megan Klyer, the suspected babysitter, Paula DeGroot, age 13. She was charged with second-degree murder after an autopsy revealed the baby died of a violent head injuries. The sitter said that the baby fell off of a couch. The county attorney won't talk about why or how the sitter allegedly killed that baby.
Rush hour coming to a halt this morning near Grimes. Careless driving resulting in a 6-car pileup. No serious injuries, however. The State Patrol says the driver of this Pontiac was the only person treated. The Sunbird was hit by a semi, the last vehicle involved in the accident. The car was destroyed. 3 large propane tanks caused traffic to back up at the intersection of Army Post Road and Fleur Drive this afternoon. Officials say the 3 tanks fell off a truck. They were empty, but hazmat officials were still called in. Our crew was forced to stay at a distance. However, the intersection was never closed, and there was never a threat to the public.
Survivors of carbon monoxide poisoning in Missouri starting to improve. In this home, 3 people survived, but 4 died from CO poisoning the day after Christmas. A joint funeral was held last week in Milton, Iowa. 2 of the 3 survivors, including a 25-year-old Cedar Rapids man, are out of intensive care. The 3rd survivor remains in serious condition. Central Iowans shivering again this morning as temperatures dipped well into the single digits, and that made it even feel cold for a normal January day. This also made it feel colder. A look and listen to the ice foils working their way down the Des Moines River, bumping and scraping their way along the frozen river banks. It's nasty.
Yeah, everything sounds cold, it feels cold, it looks cold, but that's winter in Iowa, Gary.
And it is cold right now, I can tell you that. We've already dropped to 18 degrees right now. We have partly cloudy skies. The winds are almost calm out there, so what are we headed for? Well, here's your first look at it. Here's a shot of the city. Everyone bundling up out there. We should only drop about 8 more degrees, though. 10 degrees, your expected wake-up temperature. So again, seasonably cold. Weather will be hanging right along with it. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, we rebound to about 21 degrees. But that's not much of a weather story. The real story comes in by the end of the week when snows or freezing rain could be entering the picture again. And I'll tell you when that's due to arrive just a few minutes ahead, John.
Thanks, Gary. Our colder weather may have your heat bills climbing, but there is relief at the gas pumps. Many service stations across the metro reporting prices of 96 cents. That's a return to pre-holiday prices. Now that demand has dropped off, the below-a-buck level is expected to continue into early spring. That's what officials
the way
say.
it works, doesn't it?
It does. I'm not sure it's going to last that long, though. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Governor Branstad unveiling a spending reform package. Details up next. And workers at the State House busy these days preparing for that legislative session that begins in less than a week.
And this former Attorney General who once ran for governor changes his mind on the abortion issue.
With Redeker's Thomasville Winter Sale, the only thing back at the slopes will be the snow. Rush hour traffic will be lighter, and reservations at popular restaurants won't be a problem, because almost everyone will be at Redeker's Thomasville Gallery for the low winter prices on Thomasville's fine furniture. There's a huge selection and great service. So visit Redeker's Thomasville Gallery now, because the slopes will wait, but our winter sale won't. Come to the winter sale today at Redeker's in Boone. Free delivery in Iowa.
Hi, Mary. We're running right on schedule for once. So confirm our 3 o'clock with Emerson, our 4 o'clock with Moore, and our 5 o'clock with Sherman. Whoa, Mary, we just hit one heck of a traffic jam. Better postpone our 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, our 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and our 5 o'clock till tomorrow.
Introducing the new Steak Lovers Pizza from Pizza Hut. Special sauce, delicious steak, onions, and 3 kinds of cheese.
We shouldn't be doing this. Hey, guys, sometimes you gotta stop and smell the pizza.
When you grow food for a living, you develop a real respect for the land. That's why we're changing, leaving more residue, going to no-till to save the soil, and using Roundup instead of tillage. Roundup gets us a clean start in no-till and a clean finish at harvest.
And that helps us save the land for the next generation.
Get a clean start in no-till with Roundup. It's never cost less.
The Equa savings on this house was $9,900.
There is an alternative to the large full commission brokers who up to now have called the shots here in central Iowa.
Equa savings, nearly $2,600.
EquiSave flat fee brokers charge a dramatically lower fee, guarantee the listing performance including advertising, and you can cancel the listing at any time at no cost to you.
Equa savings over $3,800.
If you're thinking about changing homes, talk to EquiSave. Quality service at a price you can afford.
Be a part of the News Center 13 team. Call our News Hawk hotline at 282-TV13 if you see news happen or capture an event on videotape.
He ran for governor as an anti-abortion Democrat and lost. Now Tom Miller is considering a campaign for Attorney General.
This time he would run as a pro-choice Democrat. News Center 13 Scott Pope tonight on Miller's change of position on the abortion issue and what it might mean to him politically.
Tom Miller cast his vote in the 1990 gubernatorial primary as an anti-abortion Democrat. It was a political gamble that cost him the Democratic nomination.
He lost the primary because of that issue, yes.
2 years later, Tom Miller has caught the political bug again. He wants his old job back, but this time he'll run on a pro-choice platform.
I thought about the abortion issue really over the last 2 years and come to the conclusion that for me the better position is the so-called pro-choice position.
Is it personally best for you or politically best for you?
It's personally best for me. It's the decision that I arrive at personally. I think in the long term it will be a plus for him because that's where his party is. That's where most Iowans are on this issue. In the short term, he's going to take some hits for flip-flopping, for changing his positions.
There's a trust factor there. Okay, he switched once for political gain. Will he switch again if the climate changes in 2 years?
People can interpret other people's motives in any way they want. That's part of the public debate, and that's part of being in public life. I accept that, but I make this decision as the best decision I can make at the present time.
Because of his change of position, Miller will likely be labeled a waffler, but he also aligns himself with the pro-choice majority in this state and virtually guarantees he will be unopposed in the primary, which traditionally is a political bloodbath for the Democrats. Scott Pope, News Center 13.
Now, Miller has not made an official announcement about his candidacy and says he'll run only if Attorney General Bonnie